Welcome to Crime Story. Today, I bring you a chilling and haunting tale, Killer or simply the Zodiac, the pseudonym of an unidentified serial killer who operated in Northern California from the late 1960s to the early 1970s. This killer became infamous for sending a series of taunting letters and business cards to newsrooms in the Bay Area. With his mystery and brutal acts that are almost unimaginable, the Zodiac left a lasting mark on American criminal history. If you find this story intriguing, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more captivating true crime documentaries. Let's dive into the story. Before his notorious killing spree, the Zodiac's life was far from glamorous. He was born into a troubled family, surrounded by chaos and instability from an early age. Growing up without a stable home or positive role models, he quickly turned to a life of petty crime. Theft, vandalism, and violence became part of his everyday existence, and he showed little remorse for his actions. As a young man, his inability to connect with society and lack of moral guidance made him vulnerable to darker influences. His youth was marred by constant brushes with the law and an emerging sense of anger and frustration. These early experiences set the stage for what would later become a chilling killing spree. Little did anyone know, the troubled young man with a history of petty crime would soon evolve into one of the most infamous and elusive serial killers in American history. His path was set, and the dark impulses that had begun in his youth would soon manifest in horrifying ways. The first confirmed murder attributed to the Zodiac Killer occurred on December 20, 1968, setting the tone for the horrifying spree that would follow. His first victims, Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday, were a young couple parked along Lake Herman Road in Benicia, California. The Zodiac targeted them seemingly at random, but in reality, there was a much darker motive behind his actions. This was just the beginning of what he considered to be a helter-skelter plan, a twisted and delusional vision of a race war he believed would erupt in America. Driven by his belief that violence would ignite societal chaos, the Zodiac began a relentless killing spree, choosing young couples as his primary targets. His killings were anything but random, each one was calculated and methodical. The Zodiac didn't just kill, he left behind eerie clues-coded letters and ciphers sent to local newspapers. These bizarre communications taunted police and the public, showcasing his disturbing obsession with control and his warped sense of importance. As the murders mounted, investigators found themselves unable to make any significant progress. His cold-blooded approach to murder, coupled with his chilling ability to evade capture, made the Zodiac one of the most enigmatic and terrifying serial killers in American history. The helter-skelter fantasy, though ultimately nonsensical, drove him to continue his gruesome work, spreading fear and confusion wherever he went. As the Zodiac Killer's spree continued across Northern California, the police were thrust into a frantic investigation, desperate to make sense of the scattered pieces of evidence. The Zodiac's cryptic letters, filled with bizarre ciphers, were the only clues left at crime scenes. These letters were his signature, a chilling reminder that he was always one step ahead of the authorities. Investigators combed through his communications, trying to decode his messages, believing that each cipher might hold the key to his identity. However, with no solid leads, the case remained a mystery, and the killer remained elusive. While there were many suspects, none seemed to fit the profile of the killer. Some pointed to a man named Arthur Lee Allen, but despite his questionable behavior and circumstantial evidence, there was no concrete proof linking him to the murders. The Zodiac seemed to revel in the confusion, as he sent even more letters, mocking the police for their inability to catch him. His chilling taunts only fueled the sense of helplessness among investigators. As the months turned into years, the case seemed to stall, with no breakthrough in sight. The Zodiac's killings continued to haunt the public, but the police were no closer to uncovering his identity. The killer's influence stretched beyond his crimes, his ability to to play with the media, taunting both police and the public, turned the investigation into a game for him. Despite tireless work by law enforcement and the media, the Zodiac's true identity remains one of the most perplexing mysteries in criminal history. The case was officially closed in 2004, but still, the search for answers continues, leaving a legacy of unanswered questions and chilling uncertainty. The Zodiac Killer's terrifying reign of terror didn't just end with his crimes, it continued to captivate the public for years, even decades, after his last known murder. The cryptic letters he sent, taunting the police and the media, became infamous in their own right, overshadowing his already horrific acts. The public was obsessed with the idea of cracking the code, of figuring out who could be behind such chilling messages. His ability to manipulate both the media and law enforcement created a spectacle that was impossible to look away from. The case became more than just a murder mystery, it turned into a cultural phenomenon. Over the years, various suspects were considered, with names like Arthur Lee Allen rising to the surface. But despite numerous investigations, no solid proof ever connected any of these suspects to the crimes. The Zodiac's taunts continued throughout the investigation, with new letters appearing periodically, each one more cryptic and frustrating than the last. The chilling message he left behind seemed to mock the very idea of justice, leaving investigators stumped and the public in a state of ongoing fear and intrigue. The trials, although full of suspense and speculation, never led to any final answers. As time passed, the media spectacle continued to evolve, with documentaries, books, and films exploring the case, all attempting to piece together the truth. Yet, the Zodiac's identity remained a mystery, and with each passing year, the case only grew colder. Even today, the Zodiac Killer remains one of the most famous unsolved criminal cases in American history, a haunting reminder of a killer who seemed to be both brilliant and monstrous, leaving a legacy of fear and fascination that endures. Though the Zodiac Killer evaded capture for decades, his legacy has been marked by countless attempts to unmask him, both by law enforcement and by amateur sleuths. Over the years, investigators, including the FBI, have re-examined the case multiple times, but the killer's identity remains as elusive as ever. As time passed, more information came to light, and old leads were revisited in an effort to solve the case. However, despite the diligent work of investigators, the Zodiac Killer continued to haunt the public's imagination, remaining free, taunting, and anonymous. Even as new technology and advancements in forensic science offered fresh hope, the Zodiac's true identity remained one of the greatest mysteries in criminal history. Parole hearings related to suspects were held, and new theories emerged, but no breakthrough came. Many began to speculate that the Zodiac had passed away, slipping into obscurity without ever facing the consequences for his chilling crimes. As the years went by, investigators found themselves at a standstill, and the case, while still open, seemed no closer to a resolution. The endless pursuit of the Zodiac Killer, coupled with the continuing mystery of his identity, has made his case one of the most infamous and frustrating cold cases in history. Despite modern advancements, the killer's ability to remain hidden and out of reach has left many feeling that justice may never be served. Today, the Zodiac Killer's legacy persists, as the search for answers remains an ongoing, unresolved chapter in criminal investigation. The Zodiac Killer's legacy continues to haunt the American psyche, lingering in the shadows long after his crimes were committed. Even decades later, his chilling letters and cryptic ciphers still captivate the minds of investigators, true crime enthusiasts, and the general public. His enigmatic persona and the taunting nature of his communication with the press only added to the mystery, leaving a sense of dread that persists to this day. As time passes, the Zodiac has become more than just a criminal. He is a symbol of fear, manipulation, and the unknown. His ability to instill terror through calculated, random acts of violence has cemented him as one of the most infamous figures in criminal history. The case remains a cautionary tale of how one individual, armed with nothing but cunning and control, can leave an indelible mark on society. Despite years of investigation and countless theories, the Zodiac's true identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries. The question still lingers: who was the Zodiac Killer? His murders and cryptic messages continue to puzzle and haunt, and while his identity remains elusive, the legacy of his crimes serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can dwell within the human mind. The Zodiac Killer's story is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind a seemingly ordinary figure. His ability to manipulate and control, paired with his psychological mind games, created an aura of fear and mystery that has haunted generations. His horrifying acts of violence pushed the boundaries of human cruelty, changing the way we think about serial killers and their ability to remain hidden in plain sight for so long. The Zodiac's case remains one of the most enduring and unsettling unsolved mysteries in criminal history. Despite the relentless efforts of law enforcement, the killer's true identity continues to evade the public and the authorities, leaving behind an eerie trail of unanswered questions. As the years pass, the enigma of the Zodiac Killer lingers in the collective conscience, with many wondering, will we ever truly know who he was, or will his legacy live on as one of the greatest and most terrifying mysteries of all time? If you found this case chilling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more true crime documentaries. Let us know your thoughts on the Zodiac Killer's manipulative tactics and the lasting effects of his actions in the comments below. Stay safe and stay vigilant.